The 18-year-old girl Cairo seems to have a perfect life, but in reality, she is unhappy because her family doesn't love and care for her. Because her parents are always traveling, they have left her alone in a big house. Cairo wants to get away from her sad life, so she turns to writing and her love of English literature. She dreams of becoming a famous author. Cairo takes a literature class at school, which is where she meets her teacher, Mr. Miller. She says Vinny pushed her to sign up for the class. Miller gives Cairo the syllabus because he sees that she is interested in literature. He is surprised to find that Cairo has already studied the whole thing over the summer. Cairo and Vinny leave class together, which gives Miller a chance to look at Cairo's books. He knows that she bought all of his books. When Boris, the PE teacher, walks in, the topic of conversation changes to Cairo's love of literary novels. Boris reads parts of Miller's brave and daring books as a joke, which makes Miller feel bad. Later, Miller tells his wife about Cairo and is amazed at how excited she is about his work. But his wife is busy with work calls, and Miller feels like she isn't paying as much attention to him as she used to. Cairo talks to Miller and Boris during breakfast the next morning. Boris talks to her about music, and when she names an old singer she likes, he makes fun of her choice. Miller is impressed by her unique tastes and love of books, though. Vinny goes to Cairo's house and tells her she should change how she looks to get boys' attention. But Cairo says her only goal is to become a writer. Cairo is having trouble with a college essay, and Vinny tells her to ask Miller for help because she thinks Miller might like her. Miller pays close attention to Cairo in literature class and asks her to stay after class. He asks her what her academic goals are and suggests that she go to a poetry session. Miller tells Cairo that he really liked her short story about a spider, and he asks her to write another story that will help her get into college. Miller admits that he hasn't been able to write in a while because he hasn't had any ideas. Cairo quotes a passage from one of Miller's old books. Vinny walks in and cuts them off in the middle of their conversation. Thoughts of Cairo keep Miller from going to dinner with his wife and Boris. When they get to the restaurant, they see Vinny working as a waitress. Vinny tells her that she needs to work to pay her bills. Fabia, Miller's wife, asks if the student he was talking about before is Vinny. Miller says that he was talking about Cairo and compliments her on her skills. Boris tells Fabia in jest that she should keep an eye on her husband because girls that age are good at controlling men. Miller says that he is only interested in Cairo because she is talented, which is a defense. Fabia jokes that since his writing didn't work out, giving up writing and becoming a teacher was the best thing he could have done. Miller feels hurt by this comment, but he doesn't say anything to avoid a fight. At the end of the week, Cairo goes to a poetry event and tells everyone that Miller is the only reason she's there because he's the only person who has made her feel real emotions. She finally finds Miller and sits down next to him after a long search. There is a poet named Eliot who has won many awards, and Miller tells her about him. In this reading, Eliot reads a poem about how people judge him. The poem makes Cairo and Miller cry because it moves them so much. After the meeting, Cairo and Miller are smoking outside the group, and it's clear that they like each other. The next day, Cairo wears clothes that stand out when she gets to school. To raise money, she tells Boris that he should make a new badge for his team and sell it. She also says Vinny could make the design for free. Boris agrees with the plan and then walks away. Cairo talks to Miller until Fabia texts him and asks him to go out with her that night. Miller says yes, so he goes to his classroom to get his things ready. Cairo walks into Miller's classroom and tells him she wants to use his writing style in her short story. He tells her that his style is very bold and could get him into trouble. Cairo replies that it is exactly this bravery that draws her to his work. Miller admires her drive and tells her to keep going. Vinny makes fun of Cairo about how she got Miller's attention after this conversation. After that, Boris walks into the class and asks about Miller. When he learns that Miller has left, he talks to Vinny about the badge design. He gets Boris's number, and it looks like she likes him. At the same time, Cairo finds out that her phone is gone. When Miller gets home, he finds that Cairo's phone is in his bag by accident. He calls Cairo on the phone and tells her to bring it to her house. When Miller goes to Cairo's house, she sees her dressed in a beautiful, eye-catching outfit. They get closer as the things they do together become more personal. After a few days, Miller reads a short story that Cairo wrote. The story is about a teacher named Murphy who starts dating a student named White because he falls in love with her. The story bravely shows what Murphy gave up and the bad sides of his personality. Miller is deeply moved by the story because it reminds him of things that are happening in his own life. The next day, Cairo can't wait to get to school and hear what Miller thinks of her story. But Miller is very angry and strongly rejects it. Cairo is told by Miller that the subject of her story is wrong and that he can't accept it. Cairo tells him that the story has a lot of meaning for her and is about them. Miller says this isn't true and that the story has nothing to do with him. Cairo says that the story is about breaking rules and beliefs that aren't fair, but Miller doesn't agree with her and gets angry. Cairo and Miller start to like each other more as their relationship grows, but Miller thinks this attraction is wrong. He tells Cairo that they need to write a new story and stresses that their relationship should only be used for work. Cairo is furious about this and says Miller is hiding his feelings because he's afraid of what other people will think. Miller says that he is only interested in her for work reasons and that she will never be more than a student to him. Cairo is devastated that Miller turned him down, so he decides to get back at him. She gives the school principal the story she wrote to get Miller into a lot of trouble. She tells Vinny that her love for Miller has turned into anger and that she wants to hurt him again the way he hurt her. Miller tells his wife about Cairo's story. His wife tells Miller that he doesn't have any limits because she knows Cairo liked him. But Miller makes it clear that he has never been interested in Cairo romantically and has only been there to help her as a teacher. This makes Miller and his wife angry with each other. Miller and Cairo are both called in by the school principal to talk about their relationship. Miller tries to say that everything has been professional, but Cairo is honest and says that she has met Miller more than once outside of school. The principal decides what kind of punishment to give Miller after hearing her story. After the investigation, Miller is fired from his job as a teacher. He goes home and has a fight with his wife about what happened. She tells him he broke her trust and that Cairo's feelings for him show how bad he is as a teacher. Miller is completely defeated now that he has lost both his job and his wife's trust. Cairo keeps trying to hurt Miller's reputation because she is still mad at him. She is hurt and angry about him, so she writes a poem about it and gives it to Vinny, asking for her help with her plan to get back at him. Cairo is able to get Miller fired and hurt his reputation. Miller is trying to show that he is not guilty, but these events have cost him his job. The movie ends with Cairo still very angry and Miller having a hard time getting his life back on track. How did you like the explanation of this movie? Let us know below in comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel Cinema Unplugged.